This meeting is sponsored by the Texas REIAs and flipping.com. The Texas REIAs is the largest by far network of real estate investor associations in the great state of Texas, with over 150,000 members, participants, and attendees going back to 2003. So why do you care and why does that matter? Well, the reason that you should care is because real estate is local and laws are local and contracts are local and neighborhoods are local and buyers and sellers and everything about real estate is local. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that talk about how to invest in real estate. They talk about how to do it anywhere. Well, how to do it anywhere is how to do it at 30,000 feet. But real estate is not bought and sold at 30,000 feet. Real estate is bought and sold at 0 feet. So if you want to know what laws apply here, and which contracts to use here, and which contractors to hire here, and which neighborhoods to invest in here, where do you get all that? And the answer is you get that at your local real estate investor association. And this is the largest by far network of real estate investor associations in Texas. They say if you have the slightest interest in real estate, the first thing to do is to go to your local REIA. So we are live and we are also simulcasting. So we got an audience online. Hello online. If you're on Goto webinar, you are live. If on the other hand, you're on social media, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or Instagram, you may or may not be watching live. But if you'd like to come to any of our many events, we have multiple events every week, just go to flipping.com/events and see what's going on. So I'm going to start this presentation by answering a question that a lot of people ask when they come to the REIA, and that is where to get started. You know, the REIA is a place where people go to learn about real estate, take their investing to the next level, connect with other resources, pick up a power team, find money, etc. And a lot of people that come to the REIA for the first time, they're like, well, there's so many possibilities when it comes to real estate. You know, what's the right way to get started? Well, there's a lot of things you can do. You can do residential real estate, you can do commercial real estate, you can do active real estate, and you can do passive real estate. So which is the best one? Well, my answer would be yes. We love them all. I do them all. I love them all. But where you should start really depends on you and fundamentally why you are here. So I'll give you some examples. If you said, I'm here because I want to quit my job, replace my income, I want to make $100,000 doing something different than what I'm doing already, and I want to do it in the next year. If that's why you're here, then I'm going to say you should be flipping houses. The fastest way to quit your job, replace your income, is to flip houses. There's many ways to do it. Whether you have money or not doesn't really make any difference. And I tell people that. There's a misconception. People think, oh, you need to have money to be a real estate investor. You don't need to have money to be a real estate investor. And even if you have money, it's not enough anyway. You know, I don't have enough money to be a real estate investor. Elon Musk does not have enough money to be a real estate investor. None of you have enough money to be real estate investors. Even if you have $500,000 sitting in your checking account, good for you. Okay, go buy a house. Okay, now you're done. Yep, that was it. Can't buy another house until you sold the first house. That doesn't scale. You see, you have to be prepared to buy any property at any time at any price, because the deal of a lifetime, the life-changing deal of a lifetime, can just show up tomorrow. So you have to be ready. And the way you're ready is you always have to use other people's money, or you have to learn how to do it with no money. And we're going to show you a whole bunch of ways to do it, with other people's money or with your own money. We have over 1,000 private money lenders in this network, for example. Private money is faster, cheaper, better than any other kind of money, right? And if you use other people's money, how many deals can you do? And the answer is all of them. So if that's why you're here, you want to create a side hustle, maybe quit your job, maybe make an extra $100,000 in the next year, then I'm going to say you should be flipping houses. Now, if you say, but that's not why I'm here. What I'm here to do is to build wealth. I like my job. I'm not really looking to change my career, but I want to build my wealth. If that's why you're here, my recommendation is that you should buy rental properties. You should buy rental properties. I have been buying rental properties for 21 years here in Texas. I now own $30 million worth of houses here in Texas. Now, let's do a little audience participation. I want to get you guys' opinion, and opinions can't be wrong, so I'd like to get 100% participation. What do you think? Do you think the market's kind of expensive right now or kind of cheap right now? Let's do a poll. Who thinks it's expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are cheap right now? Okay, we're not getting 100% participation. So let me try this again. Who thinks houses are expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of cheap right now? Oh, look at that. We got a pretty good mix. Now, my opinion, they are dirt cheap. I was looking at the prices of houses, and I just almost fell off my chair. I mean, they're practically giving them away. I was pretty astounded personally. That's just my perspective at how cheap houses are. But you know what? Don't listen to me. Here's who I want you to listen to. I want you to listen to somebody that you know, somebody that you trust. In fact, I want you to ask the person that you trust more than any other human being on earth what their opinion is. Somebody who really knows and that you trust. Okay, so who should you ask the opinion of? I want you to ask future you. I want you to ask yourself 20 years from now, what do you think of house prices back in 2025 in Houston, Texas? And you know what future you is going to tell you? Oh my God, do you realize that you could have bought houses in Houston for under $2.5 million a piece? You should have bought them all. Okay? 21 years ago, the smartest thing I ever did, I bought a bunch of houses in downtown Austin, and I paid ridiculous prices for those houses. I paid $125,000 for some of those houses, $150,000. I think I paid $170,000. I know it's ridiculous, right? For a house, just for a normal house, you know, it's a ridiculous amount of money. Now I'm selling those houses for $750,000, $850,000, $1.2 million. Because whatever you think houses are now, right, whatever they are now compared to 20 years ago, 20 years from now, you compare to now. Okay, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Now. So you are planting trees that will be your future 20 years from now, right now. And it's so funny. The REIA's been around for 20 years. Every year, everybody that gets into real estate says the same thing. Everything's expensive. Everything's expensive. Every day, every new investor thinks everything is expensive. And they've been thinking that every year for 20 years, right? And guess what? It just keeps getting more expensive. They're not going to go down. I'm sorry, right? You're not going to be able to go back 20 years. But you can plant trees for 20 years from now. So if your goal is to build wealth, I'm going to tell you, you should be buying rental properties. In my opinion, everybody should buy rental properties. But if you said, but that's still not it, Phil. That's not why I'm here. What I'm looking to do is I have money, and I want to find a way to make money with money I have. I want to make money with my money. If that's why you're here, my advice is that you should be investing in commercial syndications. Commercial real estate syndications, private equity. Wealthy people do not invest in the stock market. I'm sorry. Okay, that's called public equity. Wealthy people invest in private equity. Okay, why do they do that? And it's not as simple as just buying Apple computer stock. Anybody can do that. Everybody can do that. The stuff that's easy is not the stuff that's the best. Private equity is knowing people with the deals and investing privately in syndications. And why do they do that? Because on average, commercial syndications have twice the return on average of the stock market and half the risk. So if you found something that on average gives you twice the return and half the risk, you're never going to go back to the stock market. And I've not invested in the stock market in 20 years because I know that there are things way better than the stock market, right? So if you're here because you want to make money with your money, your IRA, your 401k, or just extra money you have in the stock market, you want to make some more money, I'm going to tell you should be investing in commercial syndication. But if you say, but that's still not it, you still didn't get it. What I'm here to do is I'm here to do the big deals. I want to make $1 million a year. I don't want to make 100,000, 200,000. I want to make $1 million, 3 million, 5 million. If that's why you're here, you should be doing syndications. You should be personally sponsoring syndications. Typical sponsored deal makes the general partner, the sponsor, $1 million or more, using other people's money, flipping essentially commercial deals. We do all kinds of commercial deals. Now, it is big money for sure, but it's not fast money. A typical commercial syndication is a 5-year deal. So if you start doing these every year, then over a period of 5 years, you're building up a pipeline. And so within 5 years, you're going to be making $1 million plus a year, but it takes some time. So it is big money, it's just not fast money. So those are the different things that you can do. Now, most people start by flipping houses, and then they're going to keep some of them as rental properties, building some wealth along the way. Once you have more money than you need to pay your bills, you got extra money, you want to make money with your money, you're going to want to put it in private equity once you know how to do that. And then once you put money in private equity, you put 50,000 in, typically get 100,000 back. You put 100,000 in, typically get 200,000 back, and that's cool. But when you realize, yeah, you're making 100, but the guy you invested your money with, he made $1 million plus, you're going to want to be that guy. So eventually you're going to be that guy. And you're going to understand how he does it because you have been investing in his deals and watching it done. So that's how most people do it. So we provide training, resources, power teams, partnership opportunities, all kinds of resources for all of these. They're all great things to do. Just which one is right for you really just depends on you and kind of what problem you're here to solve. Let's do a little poll of the audience. I'm just curious, no right or wrong answers. How many of you are here because of kind of quadrant one? You want to quit your job and make an extra 100 grand in the next year? Who wants to make 100 grand in the next year? Okay, how many of you are here mostly because you're looking to build wealth? Who's looking to build wealth mostly? Okay, a lot of wealth. How many of you are here because you want to learn how to make money with your money? Make money with the money you have? Okay, that's pretty good. How many of you are here because you're just looking to do the commercial deals? You're looking to do the big deals, right? The big deals. Okay, not a pretty good mix. So we love them all. We do them all. I will say if you're here primarily or exclusively for commercial, you might want to click on that QR code and we'll connect you up with some commercial resources. And when you click on that, by the way, it doesn't ask for your name or anything. It just sends a text message from your phone to our system, and then we'll text you back with some resources to help you with commercial. We'll get you plugged into the commercial group. Now, we are having a commercial meeting right here in this room at about 7:15, so if you're really interested, we'll also be having our commercial REIA meeting in about an hour and a half. But you know, most people, like I said, quadrant one, quadrant two, quadrant three, quadrant four, most people do that in that order. Now, most of you were interested in quadrant 1 and 2, so let's start with quadrant 1 and 2. And here's the good news. There's a lot of ways to do this. So we're going to talk about all the different ways to find, flip, and acquire real estate, even off market, even with no money or using other people's money. And we're going to go through a bunch of different ways to do this, including where to buy rental properties. For those of you that are interested in buying rental properties, we've analyzed Texas property data in every MLS in the state, going back 20 years, downloading millions and millions of records of data, and we can show you using what are called animated heat maps exactly which streets to buy and hold on and which streets you would never want to own rental properties on. Right? Nobody has this data other than us. So if you're interested in rental properties, it's a very interesting way to look at it. So hi everybody, I'm Phil Grove. You heard the introduction of me before. I've been doing this since December 15, 2003. I'm an engineer by trade. Now I'm a full-time real estate investor. I've negotiated over 1,200 deals, own $30 million in rental properties. I've invested in $350 million of commercial properties. Made a lot of money, which is a nice byproduct of doing a lot of real estate for a long time. And I've taught actually over 100,000 investors, mostly here in Texas, how to invest in real estate. In fact, I probably hold the distinction of teaching more Texans how to invest in Texas than any other Texan. I don't know anybody else in Texas that's taught over 100,000 Texans, right? So I'm that guy, and that might make me the number one teacher of Texans how to invest in real estate. These are some of the deals that made me some money. I don't really have time to go through them all, but I do approximately a real estate transaction a week in some shape, form, variety, or another. And what that does is it creates what we call money in big chunks. Now that sounds cool, money in big chunks, but I'm not here to sound good, okay? I'm here to teach you. So what does this mean? How does this work? The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us. What kind of problems? They have a house they want to sell. They have a mortgage they can't afford. They're moving. Problems to entrepreneurs are what? Opportunities. Big problems are what? Okay, big opportunities. That's how you have to think. Like if you're thinking like, I don't want problems, you're thinking, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. Every entrepreneur does something to add value, to make money. They solve problems. That's what all entrepreneurs do. You solve big, complicated problems, the world will pay you a lot of money. So we're real estate entrepreneurs, and we solve real estate problems. So what kind of problems? I'll give you some examples. Found somebody facing foreclosure, big problem. I gave him an out, an alternative, something called a short sale, allowed him to sell his house without having to bring money to the table, without completely destroying his life and his credit. And I made $16,000. A bank had a problem. REO stands for real estate owned, bank-owned properties. Banks do not want to own real estate. So I took it off the bank's hands, I flipped it, and I made $36,000. Got a property from a guy who had a legal problem, had to sell a house by Friday. A realtor cannot sell your house by Friday. I can. Made $5,000. $68,000 on a subject to deal, no money, no credit needed. That was pretty good. $5,600 on a little assignment deal. $6,000 on a small mortgage assignment, $10,000 on a quick wholesale, $2,800 on a small referral, $12,400 on a regular referral. The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us, and here's the really beautiful part. For every kind of problem that exists, there is no exception. For every problem that exists, we have a solution, a strategy that helps them. It's about helping people, solves their problem, solves their need, and gets us paid. Sometimes we get singles, sometimes we get doubles, sometimes we get home runs. Sometimes I work on a lead, a deal, an opportunity, a problem for 6 months, and after 6 months I make $5,000. And I'm like, oh man, 6 months for $5,000? I could have made more money working at Walmart. Thank goodness I'm not working on just one lead at a time. Sometimes my phone rings and that phone call makes me $55,000 in 48 hours. And I'm like, oh man, I wish every time my phone rang I made $55,000 in 48 hours. But that's not how it works either. It's maybe 1 in 100 phone calls. So the question is, how often do you get 100 phone calls? Well, that depends on you and how much marketing that you do, how much looking that you do. Do you look at 100 deals a week? Do you look at 100 deals a month? Do you look at 100 deals a year? Well, that depends on you and how much marketing, looking that you do. So there's 2 essential skills that I'm going to teach you to be a real estate investor. The first and foremost skill is marketing. Marketing is generating the lead or finding the deal. A lead is just a name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. So we need to spend most of our time, like 85% of our time and money, on marketing, looking at deals. The next skill we're going to learn is strategy. Strategy is doing the deal, solving the problem. We buy houses, we help people sell houses, get rid of houses and mortgages they don't want, can't afford. We do that in a variety of different ways that solves a variety of different problems. So these are the 2 key skills, marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals. We use 65 different methods. I'm going to show you 65 ways to find off-market, because that's what we buy, off-market wholesale real estate. Use a dozen different strategies to actually acquire these houses, even with little or no money and no credit, most of which are free. In fact, over half of the marketing methods are completely free, and 9 of the 12 investing strategies are no money and no credit strategies. And if you learn how to buy real estate with no money, with no credit, then how many properties can you buy? What do you think? All of them. How many would you like to buy? All of them. So if I throw out a question, you just kind of shout back all of them, you're probably going to get it right, just to give you a tip. So marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. Let us get started with how to find the deals. Actually, first I'm going to tell you a quick story. This was the very first house I flipped on December 15, 2003. But I'll tell you a little story. On December 14th, 2003, I was scared to death. I was actually being coached and mentored by the guys who ran the REIA, Real Estate Investor Association, back then. I called them both up, 2 guys, the day before I did my first deal. I'm scared. I don't want to lose any money. Are you guys sure this is going to work? Yeah, it took 2 seasoned, experienced real estate investors pulling me, kicking and screaming over the starting blocks to get me to do that very first deal. So if you're scared, I get it, I can relate, and I can help. But I actually had one other thing motivating me to take action at that time in my life. I was in a job I no longer loved, and I was in a career that I no longer loved. And I'm going to tell you, if you're spending your time doing something you don't love doing, you need to do something different with your life plan. And that's exactly where I was. I needed a different life. And I got to tell you, you get one life, okay, and it just races by. My wife and I recently had a baby boy. And this last weekend, I noticed there was a 15-year-old running around in my house. And he wants a car. And I'm like, what happened to the last 15 years? I mean, I remember feeding him a few times, but now he's taller than me and he wants a car. What happened? Life just races by, right? If you're not on a trajectory to getting the life that you want, it's time to change the trajectory. Something just happened, right? A new year. We're in a new year. Most people have New Year's resolutions. And what are the most popular New Year's resolutions? Lose weight and make more money. Well, I can't help you with the weight, but I can definitely help you with the money. But I was telling you, if you're not on the trajectory, if you look at the future you're on and you don't like where you're getting to, you need to change the trajectory. It's hard. Life is hard. Every decision you make is hard. Okay? Not taking action is hard. Taking action is hard. Okay? You just have to decide which hard that you want. But it's a great time to change the trajectory. So let me tell you a little bit more about the first deal. Because your first deal, in so many ways, is your most important deal. It's kind of like your first kiss. Life-changing experience. Everybody remembers their first kiss. Everybody remembers their first deal. I'll tell you about mine. It took me 6 months to find my first deal. I was actually an unusually slow starter. Got it under contract with a contract I got right here at the REIA. Bought it using OPM, other people's money, private money lender here at the REIA. We have 1,000 of them, loaned me the money. Got a contractor here at the REIA to fix it for me. Got a realtor here at the REIA to sell it for me. Got an attorney and title company right here at the REIA to close it for me. And I went to the very first closing and picked up that very first check for $15,384.26. And you know, when they handed me that check, it was like you unscrewed the cap, popped out the old brain, put in the new brain. Because right up until the moment that they handed me that check, I was a real estate investor based on theory. And I wasn't even sure I believed the theory. I don't know about this, not sure about that, don't know about this other thing. But the second that they handed me that check, like a switch flipping, I didn't know anything different, except I knew it actually worked. And like a switch flipping, I became a real estate investor based on experience. Because when they handed me that check, I realized that if I did this and this and this again, I get another check. Worked the first time, and if I did this, and this again, I get another check. This, and this again, I get another check. But the really big deal that I realized at that moment that they handed me that check, right at that moment, I knew that I would never, ever, 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 for the rest of my life, ever, ever have to work for somebody else. Ever, 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 never, ever again. And I have not worked for anybody else for 21 years since they handed me that very first check. You know, my resume is in some form of DOS that even the most high-tech IT guy in the room couldn't extract from a computer if you tried. And if you're like, what's DOS? Ask somebody with gray hair that's next to you and they'll tell you about it, okay? So yeah, if you're new, here's my advice. You need to focus yourself like a laser beam on that very first deal, because that very first deal will change your life. Deals 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7 combined, not as hard as deal number 1. So I told you I was going to tell you what I did right, but I'm also going to tell you what I did wrong, because I did make one big rookie mistake that every rookie makes right out of the chute. I spent all that time finding the deal. I found the deal, got it under contract. As soon as I got that property bought, right, I kind of put my marketing on hold. I picked up some hammers. I started managing some contractors. I worked on the deal. I finished the deal. I got the check, only to wake up the next day and realize I had absolutely nothing to do. Well, except start the whole business all over again. And this gets me to my very first takeaway. And here it is. And this is probably the biggest one of the night. The business of being a real estate investor is the business of finding deals. It's all about finding deals. Why? Because you make the money on the buy. What does that mean? As soon as you find a property and get it under contract, whatever money was going to be made or not made, it's done. Right at that minute. Yeah, you get the money at the end on the sale, but you make the money on the buy. And once you realize that, then you realize you always have to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal. Because the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. The rookies all screw this up. They finally get enough marketing, enough energy, enough momentum. They finally get a deal. They do a deal. They make money. Great. But while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So they finish the deal. and then they restart the marketing, and they finally get it going again, they finally get it going again, they find another deal, they do a deal, great, they make some money, great, but while they're working on that deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So their income goes up and down with big gaps in between. You need your income to go up, 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 up. And the only way to do that is you have to keep the pipeline continuously filled with deals. And the only way to do that is to always remember your next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. You have to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing. And hint, the deals you're looking for are not in the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service. It's the retail market for real estate. It's where realtors sell real estate. It's where all the people in the world compete with each other to see who will pay the most. And I hate to say it, but when you're competing against all the people in the world, some of those people are stupid. And you don't want to compete against stupid. Well, you don't want to win competing against stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I love the MLS. I adore the MLS. Why do I love and adore the MLS? Because after I buy off-market wholesale real estate, where do I then want to resell it? Where do you think? On the MLS. It has been proven that any property posted in the MLS will sell for the most you could possibly be sold for, but that's never where you're going to find heavily discounted wholesale real estate. The very best deal in the entire MLS would not be a deal I'd likely even take a second look at. You can get a 10% discount. You can get maybe a 20% discount. We're looking for a minimum of a 30% discount. You can't find that on the MLS. So, finding deals. Once I realized this whole shooting match is about finding deals, well, then I started to systematize the process of finding deals. And over time, I developed 65 different methods that I'm going to show you to find off-market wholesale properties. Well, actually, that's not totally accurate to say I invented it. I found 65 things that work, and I started to use those. So I need to teach you all a really important lesson, maybe the most important lesson that I'm going to teach you today. But for me to teach you this next lesson, first I need to unteach you all something. Okay, so let me take a minute. I need to unteach you all something. When you guys were in elementary school, if you looked over the paper next to you and you copied down the answers, that was called what? What did they call that? Cheating. And you're all told that cheating is what? Bad, wrong. Okay, we're not a bunch of little kids. We're not in elementary school anymore. Going forward, I need you all to unlearn that. Because going forward, guess what? Cheating is actually the shortcut. What am I saying up here? What I'm trying to say is this: there's nothing you're trying to do, there's absolutely nothing that you are trying to figure out that I and other people haven't already done and figured out. When it comes to this business, everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. We know what's in the soil. We know the zoning. We know the guys who write the zoning. We know the appreciation rate by street across all the streets, across all the cities, across the great state of Texas. We know the exact letters to send to the exact list. We know the exact offers to make. We know the exact words to say. We know exactly what objections we're going to get. We know exactly how to overcome each objection. We even know on average how many contracts we're going to get signed for every 20,000 letters we send out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. So once I realized everything I was trying to do and everything I was trying to figure out, other people had done and figured out, then I started to, here's this word, copy, right? Copy the 65 tested, proven ways to actually find off-market wholesale properties. Now, some of these methods take time. Some of these methods take money. When you get started, you probably have more time and less money. Once you get going, you have more money and less time. I will be honest with you, I don't spend any time anymore on marketing. I outsource 100%. But when I got started, I was insourcing most of it. So what are all of these different marketing methods? Well, let me teach you a whole bunch. The first set of strategies has to do with buying marketing lists. You can buy lists of people that are off-market motivated sellers. And then what do you do with the list? Well, you do a lot of things with the list. You can send them a letter, or you can send them a postcard. You can call them on the phone. You can send them a text message. You can knock on their door. You can leave them a voicemail. You can have an automated system leave a voicemail in their voicemail box even without calling them. You know, there's a way to do that. Or you can do what I do, is I don't have time to talk to 10,000 people, but I have an AI that works for me, and it calls and texts 10,000 people and schedules appointments with the ones that actually are looking to get an offer on their home. Or you can do a combination of all of those things, and that's called a multi-touch campaign. So what are some of the popular lists? Well, you can get a list of people that didn't pay their property taxes, people that are late paying their mortgage, 30, 60, 90, 120 days late paying their mortgage. You can get a list of people who have not been paying their mortgage and are scheduled for foreclosure. You can get a list of people that have filed for divorce. Two people were combining their income to pay a mortgage. Now one of them's gone. Well, the one that's left is probably having trouble paying the mortgage by themselves. You can get a list of people who passed away and had a will. You can get a list of people who passed away and didn't have a will. You can get a list that's generated by AI. These are computer models that predict out of big data which people are motivated to sell their house and which ones are not. You can get a list of people who've been dismissed from bankruptcy. You get a non-owner occupied list. This is a list of people who own a house where they don't live at the house they own. Well, technically, that's a landlord. And a lot of them are what we call accidental landlords. They couldn't sell the house, so they rented it out. Or they let an ex-spouse or family member, a friend or neighbor stay at a house, or they inherited a house with a tenant in it. They didn't really plan on being a landlord. They don't really know how to be a landlord. And very often, they eventually become motivated sellers. You can get a list of people who rented people on public assistance. You can get a code enforcement list. Do you know the city is already driving around issuing citations for abandoned houses, hoarder houses, deferred maintenance houses? You know you can get the city to give you a list of every problem property in the city. You can even get an expired listing list. This is a list of people that hired a realtor, tried to sell the house in the MLS, and it didn't sell, and the listing expired. So what do we know about these people? 100% of these people would like to sell their house, probably now more than ever, but they probably need solutions that realtors don't offer. Well, hello, that's exactly what investors do offer. So you send letters, postcards, text messages, door knocks, whatever to these lists of people. Some of them are going to call you back. Those are called leads. If you read them a script and make them an offer, we have a script and an offer for every situation. Some of them will say yes, and those are called deals. With a website, you can get leads on the internet, bandit signs, little plastic signs you see on the side of the road. We buy houses. Why do you see those signs on the side of the road? Because they actually work. Online ads work. Email, autoresponders, magnetic signs. Little sign on the side of your car. You buy the sign once, you get leads for the rest of your life, just driving around. Door hangers. You don't want to pay postage for 10 cents a door. You can have somebody put a door hanger on every door in your neighborhood. Here's one that's pretty much free, driving for dollars. Sometimes I'm just driving around and I see a tarp on a roof. They might as well be waving a big red flag. Desperate, motivated seller, please buy my house. I mean, think about this. Somebody's most valuable asset, a house, has a serious problem, right, a leak, and their solution was to go buy a $5 tarp at Home Depot. How come they didn't replace the roof? Why do you think? That's right, they didn't have the money. Same guy that's not fixing the roofs, not paying his insurance, not paying his taxes, probably not paying his mortgage, sooner or later, an investor is going to pick up that deal. Additional marketing strategies. Letters of intent. What is a letter of intent? A letter of intent is an offer. So the question is, who should you send an offer to? And the answer is everybody. I'm going to give you all your first homework assignment. Tomorrow, I want each of you to send 300 people an offer on their house. I'm not kidding. Because here's how investors think. Ready, fire, aim. You make the offer, and then you negotiate. You make the offer, and then you do your due diligence. You make the offer, and then you look for the money. You make the offer, and then, and only then, do you think about it. You should make everybody an offer. Why not? Do you know that every time you simply make somebody an offer on their home here in Texas, you know you get 4 different options? You might want to write them down. Option number 1, you buy a house because they might say yes. If you take 300 shots on goal, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, something's going in, even if you suck. And with practice, what do you think is going to happen? More of them go in because you get better and you don't suck anymore. So yeah, they can say yes. So make 300 offers. Somebody's going to say yes. So option number 1, you can buy a house. Option number 2, you can terminate The offer after you make it. Do you know the Texas state promulgated contract gives the buyer the unilateral right to just rip it up, walk away, no harm, no foul, no penalty, no cost, no risk. You can just rip it up, change your mind, right? Option number 3, you can renegotiate the offer after you make it. Do you know it's much, much, much easier to renegotiate than it is to negotiate? Especially when everybody calls you back and saying they want to sell, i.e. they want to negotiate. Option number 4, you can actually sell the contract itself to somebody else that has money. Notice only one of those 4 options even required you to come up with any money to buy a house. Just make offers and give yourself options. So why so many different marketing methods? FSBO, for sale by owner, cold calling. People trying to sell their own house. Why would they do that? Maybe they're lazy. Maybe they're crazy. Maybe they need solutions realtors don't offer. Why are those so many different marketing methods? Well, would you rather fish with a hook or would you rather fish with a net? And the answer is you need to learn to fish with a net. And the reason is because this business is a numbers game, and now I'm going to teach you the numbers. I'm going to teach you something right now that it took me 2 years of hard work to figure out. So I'm going to shave 2 years of your learning curve right now. By 2005, I had been a real estate investor for 2 years. And I calculated in my first 2 years, I generated about 400 leads. A lead is just a name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. So I was looking at a house every couple of days and making an offer every couple of days. And then I did the math. And here's what I discovered. As a rookie, what I discovered is on average for every $100 that I spent on marketing, things like direct mail, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. As a rookie, for every 3 hours I just spent on personal marketing, things like driving around, right? Driving for dollars. For every 3 hours I spent doing that, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. Then I discovered that as a rookie, for every 20 leads I got, I made at least $20,000 net profit on a deal. So let me do the math for you, okay? That means every time I just drove around for 60 hours, I made at least $20,000 on a deal. That means every time I sent out $2,000 in direct mail, I made at least $20,000 on a deal. Are you following the math here? Okay, spend $2,000, okay, make 20. Spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $4,000, make 40. Spend $8,000, make 80. Spend $16,000, make 160. Spend $32,000. You don't have to spend it all at once, by the way. Make $320,000 net profit. Are you starting to like the numbers? It took me 2 years to figure that out. The numbers are better today. Why are the numbers better today? Because houses are more expensive. And the deals that used to make me 20 grand now make me 50 grand. Doing the exact same amount of work, the exact same process, right? They're just bigger, right? These are the numbers from 20 years ago. But when I realized this, I started to think about the business in a completely different way. I now think about this whole business, my business, like it's just a little black box. And we're going to call that little black box a marketing machine. And the way that little black box works, every time I stick $100 worth of marketing in one end, eventually $1,000 worth of net profit pops out the other end. Now, if you had a little black box, every time you shoved a $100 bill in one end, a $1,000 bill popped out the other end, how many dollars would you stick in the box? Yeah, all of them. Yeah, I started spending money on marketing like a drunken sailor because I knew. I finally knew. And I started spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing. I had confidence. And then I started spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I hired 2 full-time 6-figure guys that work for me to this day who spend 100% of their time spending my money on marketing. One of them just runs the ads, the other one does the analytics, figures out what works, what doesn't work, doubles down on the ones that work. And now, today, some months I spend as much as $100,000 a month on marketing. Because once you know it's a numbers game, and once you just know the numbers, then you dial it in and you dial it in. It's just dial it up all the way, right? And that's what I did. Sometime later, I actually wrote a book on investing. I don't actually offer a book anymore. I used to offer a book. I found books are not that helpful when it comes to real estate. Okay, and the reason, it took me a while to figure this out, but a lot of people get books. It's a complete waste of time. You know, if reading books turn people into millionaires, the library should be filled with millionaires, but they're not. And there's a reason, especially with real estate. So what I figured out about real estate, it's not that complicated. Real estate's actually not that complicated. Now, I went to engineering school. That was complicated. I had to calculus 2, calculus 3. By the time I took calculus 3, I had to remember calculus 1 and 2. It was really complicated. I've never had to solve a differential equation to flip a house. It's not that complicated. But unlike engineering, it's a mile deep, the thing about real estate, it's a mile wide. There's a million little details. They're simple, but there's just a million little details. And what I realized about real estate, it's not complicated. It's not learning a skill. It's really like learning a language. But you can't learn a language from reading a book. A complete waste of time. Go read 10 books on how to speak Spanish. You'll learn how to count to 10. That's about how far I got. There's only one way to learn a language. How do you learn a language? Immerse yourself. You want to learn Spanish? Go to Spain. You want to eat or go to the bathroom? You're going to learn some Spanish. Right? And it was not, and real estate's exactly the same thing. And it was not until my wife and I joined the local Real Estate Investor Association and we actually immersed ourselves with real estate investors. You actually have to immerse yourself, right? Started hearing things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times, right? To pick up the lexicon, to just pick up enough detail to be able to do it ourselves. So that's how we became real estate investors. So I'm about to go into the final part of this particular presentation. Then we're going to market update and a commercial meeting. But before I do that, I want to say something else. I said, we're here to make you all into educated and contributing members. And we really want you to be educating, contributing, participatory. We want you to do stuff, okay? And, we do these meetings all over Texas all the time. We always have a lot of new people that come to the meetings. I see a lot of new faces. And we call the new people tourists, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Like, honey, let's go check out the REIA, right? Nothing wrong with that. But I figured out a long time ago, you don't make any money being a tourist. We need people to be active, buying, selling, partnering, lending, borrowing. That's where we all make money. But I also figured out, unfortunately, a long time ago that, unfortunately, I can't turn somebody into a real estate investor in 45 minutes. If I could only figure out how to sprinkle pixie dust on everybody's head and turn them into real estate investors in 45 minutes, yeah, that would be great. I don't know how to do that. But I can, and I have, turn people into real estate investors, like real deal real estate investors, over a period of 24 hours. Or maybe it would be more accurate to say 24 hours spread out over 3 days, giving us the time to get through all the nitty-gritty detail of how to actually do this. And this is why Texas REIAs and Flipping.com sponsors the Texas Real Estate Investing Workshop. I teach this myself. This is not outsourced to some other guy. This is me teaching a group of Texans how to invest in Texas using the strategies that work here. We use all 65 different marketing methods to find off-market deals. We use all 12 strategies that work in Texas. We use the sales scripts, how to partner with local experts, how to access funding. Thousands of the most successful investors in Texas, going back decades, 2 decades, got started at this workshop, The Real Deal, Texans Teaching Texans How to Invest in Texas. So we're doing this thing with some workshops that are coming up in Austin, Dallas, Houston, live and in person. I recommend you come live and in person. We're also simulcasting on Zoom. Some of the content includes heat maps. We're the only group in the planet that has analyzed the Texas market. We can tell you street by street exactly where you would buy and hold and exactly where you would never buy and hold, and where you'd fix and flip and where you'd not fix and flip. Okay, we have how to get off-market deals from outsourcing. I outsource all of my marketing because I don't have time to do it myself. How to get paid offering free house remodels. This is my favorite strategies. I will remodel anybody's house for free. I get paid a fortune to do that. That's a really cool trick, and it's an irresistible offer. When you offer to renovate somebody's house for free, is like they can't turn it down the way the offer is made. How about how to get 3% mortgages? A lot of people are complaining interest rates are high. Well, there's a new loan product, 3% mortgage, no money down, 100% financing, no credit check, no documentation, 100% of people that want this get instantly approved for it. Who would like to get that mortgage? 3% mortgage, no money down, no credit check. Now, who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling a little skeptical. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Okay, you know what? I'm not going to make you wait till the workshop. I'm going to show you how to get that loan in just a few minutes. So that's just too cool. And I'll show you that's how I buy my rental properties. How about how to use AI to talk to sellers for you? I don't have time to talk to 10,000 people, but I have an AI that works for me that does. So that's a pretty cool way to do it. How to use VAs. I have 14 virtual assistants that work in the Philippines. They all went to college. They're really smart. They're really friendly. They're very hardworking. Because of the exchange rate, right, I can pay them, right, as a fortune to them, and what is, you know, pennies on the dollar compared to the people I have here. So I can scale my business up using VAs. So that's just a little taste of some of the topics we're going to be talking at the workshop. So we're going to do this live and in person. We're going to simulcast on Zoom, Dallas, Houston, and Austin. And you're welcome to come join us. We'll hand out a form in a few minutes. If you'd like to join us, just fill out the form. For you guys online, we'll post a link. If you sign up today, it's free. Normally it's $1,000. So if you go online, it's $1,000, but if you register tonight, it's free. Now, I will say one other thing. A lot of you are here because you're interested in the REIA. We'd love you to join the REIA. You should join the REIA. Why should you join the REIA? How many of you would like to have access to 20,000 buyers? Raise your hand if you want 20,000 buyers. Who would like to have access to 1,000 private money lenders? Everybody's faster, cheaper, better than hard money. Who would be like access to 257 vendors, contractors, every kind of contractor you could ever want? Okay. Yeah, you should join the REIA. So if you have the slightest interest in real estate, we meet every minute of every day online. Join your local real estate investor association. And being a member of the REIA has huge benefits. Number one, when you come to the workshop, you come as a VIP. So that's pretty cool. You get special seating and special lunch sessions. So that's really cool. You also get access to our online private group where we have 20,000 buyers on the group. You get a special Texas Money Resource Guide. You get a special training program. And we do online events as well. So please join the REIA if you have the slightest interest in real estate. You should be a member of the REIA. To join the REIA is $250, but drum roll please. We got a special deal at the beginning of the year for $100. So if you join the REIA, it's $100. And you really should spend $100 on a REIA if you have only $100 to spend, because it's really going to give you a lot of resource for the money. We do market updates, etc. And if you're coming to the workshop, you also come as a VIP. So $100 to join the REIA. The workshop is free. The REIA is $100. You do not get automatically charged $100 a year. If you want to renew in a year, you can renew in a year, but you have to do that manually. You don't get automatic, so don't worry about just appearing on your credit card or anything like that. You also have a really cool poster. I'll show you the poster later. These are the 272 things you need to know to be a real estate investor. And it's got like all the investing strategies, all the marketing campaigns, all the sales and negotiating scripts, power teams, corporate structures, financing strategies, analysis, due diligence. This is what happens when an engineer becomes a real estate investor. I invent stuff like this. So we have these posters, and if you join the REIA, we'll give you a poster. And you hang it on your wall, and then you come to the workshop. We're going to teach you how all this stuff works. So that is it. What we're going to do is we're going to hand out a little form. For some reason, my clicker's not working anymore. Okay, so we're going to hand out a little form. And what we'll do is we'll have you fill out the form. So normally the workshop is $1,000. So on the website it says $1,000. It is free if you join today. So great deal. Why? Because the vendors are supplementing this workshop here at the beginning of the year. So you really want to take advantage of this. For $100, you can also be upgraded to VIP and join the REIA. Please join the REIA. The REIA is the only group in Texas that sponsors legislative action. We spend tens of thousands of dollars to keep real estate investing legal for you. Several laws have been proposed in this Texas state legislature. One of them almost made wraparound mortgages and subject twos illegal. We are the group that stopped that law. We protect you and your ability to invest in real estate. So it's really important to support the REIA if you have the slightest interest in real estate. So we're going to hand out a form. Go ahead and hand out the form. And on the form, you can sign up for the workshop. So it's got 3 options: Austin, Dallas, and Houston. The date that is on the form is the Friday, day 1. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The date is the first day. So pick the one you want. The workshop's exactly the same thing. We're just physically doing it once in Austin, once in Dallas, and once in Houston. So pick the date that you want. Fill out the form legibly. Tell us if you're going to come live and in person or online. I recommend that you come live and in person. You can go back and forth, but it's really better live. We will have tables, so we're not going to be crammed in like sardines like we are here. You'll have a table you can write on and work on over the 3 days. Please join the REIA. It's $100 to join the REIA, so if you want to join the REIA, you check the second box and join. And then there's some information down below. If you connect us, we will connect you to some resources that can be helpful to you. The free offer is available right now. For you guys online, we're posting this form for you online. If you fill it out and do it right now, you can also take advantage of the free workshop right now. And for you guys online, if you join the REIA, when you come to the workshop, we'll give you your poster and your goodies at the workshop. For you guys here live, when you join the REIA, we're going to give you a little poster and we're going to give you a little packet with your VIP tickets and some other information and resources. These are the dates, like I said, one in Austin, one in Dallas, one in Houston. They're all Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So pick the 3 days that work best for you. If none of these dates work for you, if you have a conflict, for example, if your daughter is getting married, and then I suggest that you cancel the wedding, okay? Because the most important thing that's going to change your life in a good way and get your New Year's resolutions accomplished is going to be coming to the workshop. So register now. We're going to collect the forms back momentarily. If you need a pen, raise your hand. And do we have some pens, Thomas? So if you need a pen, just raise your hand and we'll get the pen to you momentarily. We'll collect the forms back in about 10 minutes or 15 minutes. If you want to join the REIA, you can do it this way. If you want to join the REIA, it's $100 to join the REIA. If you click on the QR code, pick the one that is the payment system you like. If you just click on the QR code, it'll make you a member of the REIA, and then you show that to us when you collect the form, and we'll get you signed up with the VIP, give you the poster and the VIP ticket. So if you want to join the REIA, we'll also go around the room with that later. But if you want to do it now, you can just zoom in on the QR code of your choice. It's $100. Now, with that, I'm going to get back into the training. And the next thing we're going to talk about is strategy. So we talked about marketing. Now we're going to get into the strategy. So let me see why my clicker's not working. Well, unfortunately, my clicker's not working, so I'm going to have to do this manually. All right, so let's talk about strategy. So people always ask me, well, what's the best strategy? Because there's so many options for investing in real estate. You could do short sales, buy and hold, mortgage assignments. You can do auction options. You can do referrals, wholesaling, contracts for deeds. You could do lease options. You can do wraparound mortgages. You can do equity partnering. And of course, you can do fix and flip. In fact, you could spend a lot of time and money on all that training and education. My wife and I have spent over $100,000 on training, coaching, seminars. Most of it was great. Some of it was not great. It all sounded great. But I don't feel bad about spending over $100,000 on our education because we've made many millions of dollars on our education. But I do have a little pet peeve at how most people get started and how most people tell people to get started. And by the way, I see a lot of you filling out the form. So when you fill out the form, you can bring your guest with you. Okay, so you are allowed to bring a guest, and if you join the REIA for $100, your guest is also upgraded to VIP. So you're both entered into the REIA, so you don't have to pay the $100 twice to both be VIP, just so you know. So when it comes to all of these different investing strategies, people always ask, well, what's the best one? Well, here's the good news. They all work. All of these things can make you money investing in real estate. That's the good news. The bad news is that they each only work in unique situations. Each of these strategies is the solution to a specific problem. But remember what I said earlier, your job one is to find the deal. So here's a brand new investor hunting for a deal. And he generates a lead. What is a lead? The name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. Well, if this guy had gotten the right training, he would have learned how to help that seller solve their problem using a strategy called a wraparound mortgage. That is the solution to that seller's problem, but that's not the training he got. He just went to one of those silly wholesale seminars and all he learned how to do was wholesaling. So he's looking for a wholesale deal. He didn't find a wholesale deal. He found a wrap deal. He doesn't know how to do a wrap deal. So he can't help the seller and he can't make any money on that lead. So what's he going to do now? He's going to generate another lead from some more marketing. And now if he only knew how to do a mortgage assignment, he could solve a big problem, get himself a big check. But again, he doesn't know how to do that because he just went to a wholesale seminar. He only learned how to do his wholesaling. He's still looking for a wholesale deal. So he can't make money on that lead. So he generates some more marketing, generates yet another lead. Now, if he only knew how to do an auction option, he could solve a big problem and get himself a big check. But again, he doesn't know how to do that because he just went to a wholesale seminar and all he knows how to do is wholesaling. Are you starting to see the mistake? There's 30,000 YouTube videos that tell people how to get started investing in real estate. What most of that education out there says is you need to get started by learning one strategy and this is the best one. No, 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 this is the best one. No, this is the best one. Well, whatever, you need to learn a strategy, make money on that strategy, and after you learn how to make money on that strategy, later on you can learn some other strategy. And it sounds pretty good and it feels pretty good, but forgive my language when I say this, that is a completely ass-backwards way to get started. Saying that you need to get started by learning one strategy and make money on one strategy before you make money on the other strategy, that's kind of like saying you need to go to Las Vegas and learn how to bet on one number on the roulette wheel. And after you make enough money betting over and over and over again on that one number on the roulette wheel, later on you can learn how the other numbers work. Well, that's ridiculous. And yet that's how 95% of real estate investors get started investing in real estate, and probably 99% of wholesalers. So let's talk about wholesaling. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling. A lot of new investors get this idea, I want to start with wholesaling. Wholesaling is the easiest strategy to teach and the easiest strategy to learn. The problem, though, with wholesaling is I would also say it's the hardest one to do that on average makes the least amount of money. So when somebody tells me I want to get started by wholesaling, here's how my brain translates that plan. I want to do the hardest thing there is to do that on average makes the least amount of money. And I know from my experience that about 99 out of 100, maybe not 100 out of 100, but about 99 out of 100 people that try to execute that plan end up giving up before they ever get going. Because if you do something that's a lot of work that doesn't make you a lot of money, you're probably going to give up before you ever get going. For example, how many of you have read the book, The Millionaire Wholesaler? That's because it's never been written. Nor will it ever be written because it's the hardest thing to do that makes the least amount of money. So I'm going to show you what the top 5% of investors do. And my advice, play to be in the top 5% or don't bother because they make all the money. So how and what does the top 5% do? Here's what I do and here's what I'm going to teach you to do at the workshop. What I do is I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel and I spin the wheel a lot. So what do I mean by that? I use all 12 strategies. Why not learn all 12 ways to fill out a contract? Why not learn all 12 ways to solve a problem? You spend time and money, it's called marketing, to find somebody with a problem. If there's a way to help them and solve the problem and get paid, you need to help them and solve the problem and get paid. And once you know all 12 strategies, we have a solution, a strategy for every situation problem that exists. We can help motivated sellers, non-motivated sellers. We can help people that own houses free and clear. We can help people that are hopelessly underwater, where they owe more money than the house is worth. We can help them, we can solve the problem and get paid. Sometimes we get singles, doubles, home runs. That's what it means by betting on all the numbers on the wheel. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to spin the wheel a lot. And what does that mean? Look at a lot of deals. Take a lot of shots on goal. Make a lot of offers. So we got to learn all of the strategies. Let's talk about strategies. Actually, first I'm going to tell you another quick story. This was my first big deal. After I was a real estate investor, for just over 2 years, I flipped this house. And I actually made $291,000 flipping this house. Pretty good deal. But the more interesting part of the story is I was actually the 8th investor at bat. So what does that mean? 7 other real estate investors looked at this deal before me and passed on the deal. How is that possible? How could 7 different real estate investors pass on a deal to make almost $300,000? How is that even possible? I'm going to tell you it's not just possible, it's actually typical. Let me tell you the rest of the story. First investor walks into this house, says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're underwater. You owe more money than the house is worth. You can't afford to sell me the house. Second investor walks into this house and says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're in bankruptcy. I can't buy a house from somebody in bankruptcy. Third investor walks into this house and says, well, I can help you avoid a foreclosure by doing something called a short sale, but I can't do that while you're in bankruptcy. Plus you have a mid-construction project. I don't do mid-construction. I walked into this house and I said, my, oh my, oh my, you have a lot of big problems. Big problem means what? Big opportunity. You know, it took 1, 2, 3 different strategies to solve this guy's problem. The point is, I solved the problem, I got the check. My competition was a bunch of one-trick ponies. Most of my competitors are a bunch of one-trick ponies. 30,000 YouTube videos teach people how to be one-trick ponies. One-trick ponies are annoying, they get in the way at times, but they don't last long. Guys, if you think you're gonna find pretty houses at big discounts just waiting for you, right, hanging off of trees, yeah, you're smoking crack, okay? This is what an opportunity looks like. I want a big bundle of problems with a nice pretty bow around it. I want a house where half the house burned down. I want a house that had a meth lab that exploded in the garage. I want a house that flooded. I want a house that has mold. I want a house where someone was murdered in the living room. Oh yeah, you can make a killing on a murder house. I own one. How do you make a killing on a murder house? I need you to think differently. Okay, murder's not common, but stigma is common. So stigma. What do you think it costs to buy a murder house? Anybody want to guess? Not much, 20 cents on the dollar. And you know what everybody says when they look at that house? They point at the house and they say, that's a murder house. And a year later, everybody going by that house, you know what they do? They point at the house again. And they say, something bad happened in that house. And a couple of years later, they're going by that house and they kind of look around and they're like, somewhere around here, something happened. About 5 years later, they go by that house and what do they say? Nice house, how much? Stigma goes away, right? Somebody gets shot in a bar, it's a crime scene. A few years later, it's a tourist attraction, okay? I bought a house for $180. It's now worth $480. What did I do with the house? Nothing. I rented it out to a guy that didn't mind living in a murder house. I gave him a good deal, right? But the point is that problems are opportunities and big problems are big opportunities. So you've got to think like problem, opportunity, think ka-ching. So I'll tell you another story. One of my students recently bought one of those $150,000 Teslas and he paid cash for it. And he calls it his air car, H-E-I-R, air car. Somebody died without a will. Do you know 2 out of 3 people don't have a will? Light bulb. But they did have 42 heirs. And everybody said, no way, man, there's no way you're going to get 42 people to agree on something, big problem. Well, he rolled up his sleeves and it took a little effort, but eventually got 42 people to agree that a little bit of something is a whole lot better than a whole lot of nothing. Now he's driving around a $150,000 air car. So problems are opportunities, big problems, big opportunities. We need to use these marketing methods to find the problems, and then we use the strategies to solve the problem. So I got a little more time. We're going to do in another meeting, a commercial meeting and a market update, but I'll teach you 2 strategies. The first strategy I'm going to teach you today is wholesaling. Easiest one to teach, let me teach you right now. How does this work? You simply find a property, get it under contract. How much does it cost to get a property under contract? Nothing. Can we all afford that? Yes, I think we can. Now, after we get a property under contract, instead of buying the property, we're actually going to sell our equitable interest. We're going to sell the contract to another investor for a fee. Well, how much is the fee? I don't know, $500 to $5,000 for a small deal, $10,000 to $25,000 for an average deal, $25,000 or more for a big deal. And this, my friends, is a no money, no risk strategy. I've discovered it's really hard to lose money when you're not spending or investing any money. So let me show you an example. When you come to the workshops, I always teach theory. I just taught you the theory. But then I always back it up with examples, stories. Because you need to see the story to see how it actually works. So I'll tell you a quick story. This is Kimberly. She came to the workshop. And she went out and did her first deal. She told me about this deal after it went down. It turns out her mom was visiting her from out of town. So she's in the car with her mom. And her mom's like, where are we going? Oh, well, Mom, we're going to get a house under contract. What? Kim, are you crazy? You just graduated from college. You don't have any money. You don't have any credit. You don't even have a job. What do you mean you're getting a house under contract? Don't worry, Mom. I know what I'm doing. So Kim's mom watched Kim walk into that house and offer the seller $265,000 for his house, and he signed a contract. Now, obviously, he was a motivated seller. Obviously, they talked on the phone ahead of time. Kim then took that contract and she posted it out to the network. Remember I said join the network? Right? Do you know we meet every minute of every hour of every day online? Do you know over the last decade, the members of this community post their deals, their questions, their referrals, their resources back and forth over that network, right? So Kim just posted this deal out to the network. Who wants my deal? Who wants to buy my contract? And several other investors in the network wanted to buy that deal, that contract from Kim. And one of the other members of the REIA paid Kim $17,000 for her contract. So Kim just sold her contract to another member of the REIA for $17,000. So now Kim's a believer. Well, actually, Kim was a believer. Now Kim's mom is a believer. So what would Kim have done with the contract had nobody wanted to buy the contract? What would she done with the contract? Right. Terminate, right? Ripped up, no harm, no foul, no risk, no penalty. But she didn't need to, did she? So who bought the contract? Another member of the REIA, remember I said there's thousands of buyers, named Tatiana. I know Tatiana pretty well. Tatiana paid Kim $17,000 for the contract. It then became Tatiana's contract. Tatiana then went ahead and crossed Kim's name out as a buyer, wrote her name or company's name in as a buyer. Then Tatiana went ahead and bought the property for $265,000 cash. She had the cash. She kept it for 6 months as a month-to-month rental. Right after the tenants moved out, she did a renovation, a small addition, then she sold it after owning it for 12 months. When she sold it, she made almost $100,000 of net profit. That she only had to pay long-term capital gains taxes, no income taxes. Do you think Tatiana was pretty happy that Kim found that deal for her? What do you think? Yeah. So let's do a poll of the audience, see what we got here. By a show of hands, just out of curiosity, by a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Cash buyers? Okay, let me ask you a different question. How much cash do you have to make a cash offer? Zero. Well then, how much cash do you have to be a cash buyer? Zero. Guys, you don't have to have any cash to make a cash offer. You don't have to have any cash to be a cash buyer. You just need to know people with cash. So let me ask you another question. Does anybody here know somebody that you could call if you got a smoking hot deal to buy a property for a big discount for cash? Does anybody know such a person? For example, who? Yeah, what do you think I'm doing up here? And in fairness, there's thousands of guys just like me out on this network that would be pleased as punch, right? If you guys got out there, got some properties under contract, you don't want it for yourself, pitch it back to the group. That's why we need you. That's why we want you. That's why we'll even train you on how to be educated and contributing members of this community. But I can see I have my work cut out for me. So let me try this again. By a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Sir, you're a cash buyer. Cash buyer? Yes, cash buyer. Oh, awesome. We got them all. Thank you. I love talking to a room full of cash buyers. And the network, so everybody you got to think differently. So the network instantly puts people with cash in connection with people with money. It puts people with money in connection with off-market deals. So the deals and the money and the money and the deals. All right. Let us talk about one more strategy. This is a little more complicated, a little more interesting. This is called buying properties subject to the mortgage. This is how you buy and own real estate even with no money and with no credit. I am a nationally recognized expert at teaching this strategy. I've taught thousands, tens of thousands of people. I may be the national expert. I'm certainly a national expert at teaching this strategy. I'm going to teach you how this works. How does this work? How does real estate work? When somebody buys real estate, how does that work? They go to a title company, they sign a stack of documents. That's how it works. Now, most of the documents at a closing are disclaimers and disclosures, but there's two documents that get signed at the closing that make the closing happen. The two documents that actually make it happen are the deed and the note. The deed and the note. Notice these are two separate documents, a deed and a note. Whosever name goes on the deed, that's who owns the house. Whosever name goes on the note, that's who's responsible for the mortgage. Now, normally it's the same guy. At a normal closing, they go to the closing, the guy is on the deed, the guy is on the note, he owns the house, he's responsible for the mortgage. That's normal. And then he moves into the house, and it's his house. All the rights, privileges, responsibilities, and benefits of home ownership, they're his, right? He owns a house. At the end of the month, he gets a statement from the bank, says you owe us $1,000 for your mortgage, $2,000 for your mortgage. He writes the bank a check for $2,000. Bank gets the check, they cash the check. Bank's happy, he's happy, everybody's happy. That's how it works. And then the guy goes on to get married. And when the guy goes on to get married, well, the wife is added to the deed, right? Texas is a community property state, so the wife is added to the deed. So now there's two names on the deed, his and hers, but his name is still the only name on the note. Just because somebody's added or taken off the deed, that does not affect the note. And then time goes on and things don't work out, and they get a divorce. And in their situation, the wife gets the house in the divorce. So now something kind of interesting has happened. Now her name is the only name left on the deed, but his name is still the only name left on the note. So the question is, as long as he keeps sending the bank a check every month, or she starts sending the bank a check every month, or a tenant or a property manager, a neighbor, investor, friend, or family member, or somebody sends the bank a check every month, the question is, does the bank actually care who wrote the check? What do you guys think? No. No. There's some guy at the bank getting paid $9.82 an hour to open envelopes. Oh, we got a check. Came on time for the right amount. It cleared. We're good. So if you're listening to me so far, I just told you all a story about a spouse, about a woman, about a person that was able to acquire real estate, even with no money and with no credit. Yeah. See, I told you I was going to tell you how to acquire real estate with no money and credit. There's a way to acquire real estate even with no money and no credit. Okay, so here's the really, really good part. You can all do exactly the same thing, and you don't have to get married to do it. Because here's the deal, and this is the big one. Anybody, any of you, can go up to any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender at any house at any time, and you can make them an offer. And the offer any of you can make with any lender, with any homeowner that has any loan from any lender on any house at any time is this. Here's the offer. I will make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward, or I will find somebody to make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. What's the catch? The catch is you have to transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. You do this with any homeowner that has any loan from any lender on any house at any time. And the only person on the planet that has to agree to this transaction is the person whose name is on the deed, not the bank. The bank has no say in this transaction. There are federal laws that regulate this transaction. Anybody can transfer their deed to anybody. Anybody can pay somebody else's mortgage if they want to. So if you're listening to me closely, here's what you just heard me say. You can buy any house in Texas from any homeowner in Texas that has any loan from any lender. You can buy that person's house at any time, and you can even buy that person's house and own that person's house even with no money and even with no credit by simply offering to take over the payment on their mortgage, or even offering to find somebody to take over the payment on their mortgage in exchange for them simply transferring the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. And once you learn how to buy real estate with no money, with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them, right? How many do you want? All of them. Look, when somebody's in financial distress, what is financial distress? They got a house, they got a mortgage. Is the house the problem, or is the mortgage the problem? Owning a house is never a problem. Being responsible for a mortgage, that can be a big problem when you're in financial distress. So buying a property subject to just means agreeing to pay a seller's mortgage in exchange for the deed. Now, once somebody transfers their deed to you, you own it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can renovate it and retail sell it to somebody else. You can wrap it, you can assign it, you can keep it as a rental property, you can keep it as your own homestead if you'd like. I've helped many of my friends here in Texas buy their very own homestead with this little or no money, no credit needed strategy. How much money can you make? Well, there's a lot of ways to make a lot of money once you learn how to buy houses with no money and no credit. Small flip, at least 10 or 15. Usually it's a lot more, and this is another little or no money, little or no risk strategy. Let me show you an example of a deal. This is one of the $30 million worth of houses that I own in Texas. And I said earlier, if I wanted to buy $30 million worth of houses, because I own $30 million worth of houses, if I wanted to buy $30 million worth of houses traditionally, I mean, think about it. I'd have to put down 20% every time I bought a house. In other words, I'd have to be a multi-millionaire just to become a millionaire. Well, I wasn't a millionaire when I started investing in real estate. So how was I able to acquire $30 million worth of rental properties in Texas? Well, it turns out most of them were bought using this trick right here, subject to, including this one. So let me tell you about this one. A woman owned this house worth $150,000. She owed $110,000 on the mortgage. So this house has $40,000 in equity. She had the house rented out for $1,600 a month rent. The mortgage payment, including tax and insurance, is $1,100 a month. So this house is generating $500 a month of cash flow, gross cash flow. It shoulda, coulda, woulda, and should have been a perfect rental property except for one major problem. This woman had lost her job. She was continuing to collect the rent because she was living off the rent, but she stopped paying the mortgage. 4 days before the first Tuesday of the month, when the house was going to foreclosure, I knocked on her door. Can I help you? I am here to help you. But what can you do? There's no time. They're going to go and foreclose on me. There's no time. How can you help? They're going to foreclose. What are you going to do? How can you help? What can you do? Here's what I can do. I can stop the foreclosure. I can reinstate your loan. I can catch up your mortgage payments. I can make your mortgage payments for you going forward. I can even repair all your credit. Well, that's amazing. What's the catch? You simply have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And she said, deal. Why in the world did she say deal? Because in 4 days, she's losing the house. That was a done deal, but she wasn't just going to lose the house. In addition to losing the house, she was going to get a little bonus to go along with it, a bonus that we call a foreclosure. And I'm going to tell you exactly the magic words that I told her. You don't want a foreclosure. You may think a foreclosure is the end of your problem. It's not. It's the beginning of a 10-year nightmare that starts with the sheriff and his deputies dragging you and your family and all of your possessions to the curb in front of your friends and neighbors. It's 10 years of dealing with the IRS, potentially garnishing your wages to collect on a 1099 that could be issued against you for up to the full value of your loan. It's 10 years of dealing with the lender potentially filing a lawsuit against you for up to the full value of the home. It's 10 years of dealing with creditors calling you, hounding you day and night to collect on the judgment from the lawsuit. It's 10 years of not being able to buy another home, not being able to buy a car, not being able to get a credit card, not being able to open certain bank accounts or even rent certain apartments or even get certain jobs. In other words, it's a bullet to the head. And nobody wants all that. And she didn't want that. So she just gave me the thing and she said, thank you. Right? And the bank didn't want the property back. They just wanted their money. So I gave them their money. And the tenants, they didn't want to get kicked out of the house. They wanted to keep renting it. So I let them keep renting it for me. But mostly, it was a great deal for me. Because for $4,500, which is what it cost me to reinstate that loan, I now own this beautiful $150,000 house. It came with a loan. It came with $40,000 of equity, all mine. Came with tenants paying me $1,600 a month rent. After I pay the mortgage of $1,100, $500 goes back in my bank account. And if you think that's cool, my wife and I own $30 million worth of these properties. Some of them took small amounts of money like this. Most of them honestly took more money than this, but then some of them took absolutely no money at all. So let me ask you guys a question. How many of you would like me to walk you step by step through how to do this deal? Raise your hand if you're like, okay, we're all out of time. I'm sorry, we're almost out of time. We got another meeting to start and another presentation to give. Okay, but let me finish it. I will finish this. I love this deal. But I'll bet you don't know why I love this so much. Some of you are like, oh, you're making $500 a month. Yeah, that's not it. $500 is not going to affect my life or my lifestyle. What I love about this is by doing this over and over and over again over the last 21 years, my wife and I were able to accumulate a portfolio that's now worth $30 million. In fact, just over the last 3 years, that portfolio went up in value by more than 30%. In other words, just over the last 3 years, my wife and I became more than $10 million richer from having done this thing over and over again. This thing that required little or no money and no credit. That's what I love about this. This is the strategy that allows anybody, regardless of money or credit, to become multi-millionaires. Because I don't care how much money you have, you don't have enough to put 20% down on every house you buy. I don't care how much credit you have, you don't have enough to buy tens of millions of dollars worth of properties. Nobody does, right? So this is the strategy. And once I realized the wealth potential of this, I actually made one additional tweak to the strategy. I no longer buy these houses in my name. In fact, I no longer buy these houses in my company's name. Now when I buy these houses, I prefer to buy them in my IRA. How many of you are aware that you could do this transaction with your IRA? Just a few of you. Okay, well the rest of you, you know you can do this transaction with your IRA. One of the sponsors that's paying for your seats is a company called Directed Trust IRA. Come to the workshop, they will set it up, we will set it up so you can do this or any other kind of real estate with your IRA. So what happens when my IRA does this deal? My IRA puts out the $4,500 reinstatement fee to the bank. The deed transfers to the IRA. Every month, the property manager deposits $1,600 of rent into the IRA. Every month, the IRA automatically issues a check to $1,100 to pay the lender, and $500 rolls back into the IRA. But that's not the good part. So what's the good part? Over the next 25 years, this property will double in value. And it'll double again. And even with very conservative appreciation rates, it'll almost double a third time. Something interesting happens to the loan over the next 25 years. What happens to the loan? It's paid off by the tenants. Thank you very much, tenants. In other words, every time my IRA does this deal, my IRA ultimately ends up owning an asset worth about $1 million that by then we own free and clear. And because my IRA is also a Roth IRA, when I sell this asset in retirement, 100% of the proceeds are tax-free. Did you just see what I did? I just showed you how to turn a $4,500 IRA into $1 million tax-free doing one deal, one time. Helping a woman out of a horrible situation, helping a bank not take a property back they didn't want back, right? Helping a tenant stay in a property they wanted to stay in, all that just doing it once. The average retired person has a net worth of $62,000. It's pathetic. If you just did this one deal one time, you'd be 25 times richer than the average retired person just doing this once. But I'll tell you something else I've observed. I've never seen somebody do this deal once. 95% of the people will never do this deal. 100% of the people that do it once, then what do? Then they do it again. And then what do? And then they do it again. And then what do? And they do it again and again and again. And 20 years later, they're standing behind a podium at the Royals Nesta talking about all the times they did it. So one last time, how many of you would like me to walk you step by step through how to do this deal? Raise your hand if you want to see. Okay, I'm going to walk you step by step through how to find this property, how to get it under contract, exactly what contract to use, exactly which attorney and title company to close it at, how to go through all the operational steps to do this. So I'm going to walk you step by step through all of that. But that's going to take about 3 days, so we're going to have to finish at the workshop. And obviously, that's just a taste. That's my second favorite strategy that we use. But that's the game changer. You learn how to buy property subject to, it scales you up. That's how you buy an infinite size rental property. You're not going to buy rental properties in the MLS, you buy off market. And now think about what I just said. I said I had magic words. I just told you your first close. That was literally called the atomic bomb close. How did that deal I just showed you work? Remember the marketing list? I literally got that list, I called everybody on that list, and I read that script. Not all of them answered, not all of them wanted an offer, not all of them talked to them. It's a numbers game. We talked about the numbers game. I literally called that number, read that script. That woman said thank you, handed me the deeds, handed the keys, rinse and repeat. 1 out of 20 and it works. Do it 400 times, it'll work a lot. That's how this business works. So we're going to teach you all 12 strategies. We're going to teach you the 9 other magic closes, 65 ways to find off-market, how to access 1,000 private money lenders, etc. So this is Texans Teaching Texans How to Invest in Texas. I teach the whole workshop myself, 3 cities, 1 in Austin, 1 in Dallas, 1 in Houston. Please join the REIA. You definitely want to. You'd be foolish not to, because then you're a VIP at the workshop. You get all kinds of other benefits of being a member of the REIA. Pick the date that you would like to join us. You can come live and in person, or you can come online. Let's just a quick poll. I know some of you just got here, but for everybody that's been here, how many of you are going to come to the workshop live? Raise your hand if you're going to come to the workshop live. Who's going to be coming online? Who's coming online? Okay, so we got almost everybody live. So yeah, I recommend live. If you can't do live in the date of your choosing, go to one of the other cities. I like to, frankly, go to another city when I take training. Because it gets me out of pocket and just kind of my mind is more clear. So fill out the form if you're in the room. If you guys are online, we posted a link in the comments online so you can fill out the form online. If you do it right now, like I said, normally it's $1,000. The vendors are supplementing your tuition. Congratulations. So if you sign up today, you get it for free. You can also join the REIA for $100 today. Gives you a 1-year membership in the REIA with all the benefits, and you get a really cool poster as well. If you'd like to join the REIA, just click on one of these codes. You can also do this at the desk outside. You can pay via Zelle, Venmo, or Cash App. When you click on that, it just says, do you want to send $100 to the REIA using whichever one that you click on. And then you show it to us. We give you your VIP packet, and you get enrolled in the REIA. So a couple of other quick comments, and we're going to get into our next presentation. People ask, can I get copies of your presentations? Yes, we post all of these presentations on our social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Look for Texas REIA's question.
Yes, please put the QR code for me. If you guys want to be a VIP, those are the QR codes. There are 3 options for you to pay through Zelle, Venmo.
Only do one,
Yes.
but pick the one you want. Do you have that on your? Do you have that outside too?
Please guys, just scan the easiest way through Zelle. Go through your bank account and then scan that. It's the easiest way to make the payment.
But just leave your payment screen up.
Yes, you can do the check on that.
What did you say?
Leave the payment screen up.
Oh yeah, and then we'll verify you're paid. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So if you guys are online, you can do it all online. A couple of other quick comments. So details on the workshop. I am teaching the entire workshop all 3 days. So it's going to be me for 3 days. We're 24 hours over 3 days. We go long Friday, long Saturday, early Sunday. I'm going to start talking about 8:45 a.m. Get there at 8:30. If you're a VIP, you get to sit up front. You definitely want to do that. But regardless, get there at before 8:45 and get a good seat. We will have tables. We're going to be spread out. We're not going to be crammed in like we are here. How late will we go? Kind of depends on you. I mean, because we're going to keep going until you guys are done, right? Asking questions and everything else. Probably 7:30 Friday and Saturday, and then early on Sunday. I'm going to go through several exercises helping you build your own individual plans, right? Coming up with a marketing budget, a marketing plan, exactly what lists, what words, you're going to walk out of there with a plan to actually do this. It's not some fluffy rah-rah workshop. This is the real deal, folks. Bring a notebook. You're going to fill an entire notebook with notes over the 3 days. Some quick questions. How much experience do I need to do this? On our residential workshop, we have commercial and residential. Most of the people, 75% of the people are newbies. About 25% are experienced, and they're coming to learn some of the advanced strategies that we do. Can I bring my significant other? I highly recommend you drag them by force. Because if you don't, here's what's going to happen. You're going to learn all this cool stuff. You're going to go find a house. You're going to say, honey, we're buying a house. And what is honey going to say if honey didn't come to the workshop? Yeah, what are you, crazy? Yeah. I can't tell you how many people brought their disinterested spouse. I made it fun and interesting, and they became the one to pick up the ball and run with it. And yes, they're VIP. If you're VIP, they come with you. You don't have to pay extra. The workshop's free, and even if you do the VIP upgrade, they still get VIP'd. How do I know this is the real deal? You know what? Don't ask me. Ask somebody that's done it. I invite everybody I train to give me a handwritten feedback form. Don't believe stuff you read on the internet. You can't fake a handwritten feedback form, right? That is signed and in an own unique handwriting. We scan every single feedback form. We post them on the internet. You go look at that link, you'll see them. Thousands of feedback forms. Why would I post thousands of handwritten feedback forms, no matter what anybody says on the internet? Go look for yourself. And I'll tell you what you're going to see. 99 out of 100 are all the same. Oh my God, this was literally a life-changing experience. We literally have a YouTube channel where we literally interview somebody in this network every week who's typically now a millionaire or multimillionaire as a result of coming to this workshop. I don't know anybody else on the planet that can point to somebody on a weekly basis that's typically now a millionaire or multimillionaire from the training. Where do I get my tickets? Fill out the form and collect them right now. Pick your date. We will call you or text you a day or two before the event to RSVP. We need to know how many people are coming live and how many are online. And if you have to change the date, we can reschedule you at that time. If you're already registered, even if the next workshop you have to pay for, you're already registered, so you don't have to pay. If you want even more help, become a member of the REIA. As a member of the REIA, you can interact with me and thousands of other members. And that's basically that. Now, I'll talk about some other things we're doing in a little bit, but let me wrap this up right now and get into our next presentation. So fill out the form, you guys online, fill it out online, and pick the date that you want. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to reset into our next presentation. So we're going to stop our broadcast, and we're going to start a new broadcast. So stop the broadcast.